Welcome to Pagan Coffee Talk. Here are your hosts, Oswin and Lord Knight. We're going to talk about the Rede, the Wiccan Rede.
Yay!
Now, wasn't too long ago we heard, you want to tell this? You heard somebody saying something about the Rede?
Yeah, I heard someone say something about the Rede. They were trying to give the argument that they think the short Rede came first and then the long Rede.
Uh-huh.
But from my research in history, there was a long version, then it was rewritten by someone else and placed in the green egg. Then the short version started to show up later, from my understanding. So,
well, the little bit of history that I have found, this was it was written, the Wiccan Rede as we know it, the long version, was written by Lady Gwen Thompson. She was a New England priestess. And she wrote the Rede in the 1960s. She attributed her adaptation, so again, not the original.
Not the original.
She attributed her adaptation to her ancestor Adrian Porter, to her teachings.
Right.
This particular Rede is younger than Gardnerian Wicca.
Right.
Probably developed around the same time as Alexandrian Wicca. It was stateside, though, and had no bearing on Gardnerian, Alexandrian, or Cochrane's 1734 tradition. Most Gardnerians, according to this article, just saying, have said that it is not remotely connected to their tradition at all. Doreen Valiente talks about it like it is in her book called Witchcraft for Tomorrow. Not sure why she does, but she's seen some Gardnerians say that she added stuff and stopped being Gardnerian in her later writings. In short, the Rede, which means counsel or advice, is not descended from the same sources as most modern Wicca, and is not a requirement for being Wiccan, and it is not necessarily indicative of Wicca in general.
I would agree.
All right.
It's hard to argue with history.
Right?
You know, and again, our view in our tradition is this has always been advice.
Right.
And advice only. It's not no steady rule or something that we have to follow like they do in the Wicca community. You know, to where it is their ethical, moral. To us, it's not. It's just advice.
Okay. So it's not like rules or laws or anything like that.
Right. It's just advice. I mean, there's some things there, good to do, but we'll see as we go through it, I guess.
All right. Yeah, so you do want to just go through this, and we'll discuss a few bullet points here and there.
Mm-hmm. Right.
All right.
Now, this is the one that came from Green Egg.
Yes.
And I forgot when it was published, but it's the most widely...
this is the long version, and it is the most widely distributed version of this one.
Matter of fact, I think most of the traditional witchcraft community like us use the same thing.
I believe so.
The majority of us, maybe not all of us, but...
All right, so here it is. It's the advice from the old ones. Bide the Wiccan laws you must, in perfect love and perfect trust. Live and let live, fairly take and fairly give.
Well, let's stop there.
Okay.
Now, the laws that they're referring to in this are the laws from Lady Sheba.
Right.
Hence the reason there's an S on the end of it, unlike in the short version where there's just law.
Right.
What was next after that?
In perfect love and perfect trust.
We understand perfect love and perfect trust. This is perfect love and perfect trust. Either you trust the people in the circle or you don't.
Right. All right, then there's live and let live.
All right, now this is an actually interesting concept, all right? We're not going to go, again, this is that idea of we might go out and kill a deer and eat it, but we're not going to go out and like slaughter a whole entire field of buffalo. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, we're only going to take the meat that we need to eat. We're not out hunting for game.
Right. That's that fairly take and fairly give. Take what you need
and need what you take.
Right.
Which we'll get back into that a little bit later, I believe, in this one.
All right, so keep going.
Keep going. Why not?
Okay. Cast the circle thrice about to keep the evil spirits out.
First degree mysteries. What do you want me to say?
Okay.
It's true. We believe we cast the circle thrice about.
3 times.
3 times.
All right. To bind the spell every time, let the spell be spoken rhyme.
Doing that rhyme thing seems to help us alter our consciousness.
Right.
So again, it's a good rule of thumb. Because if you sit there and you just think about sitting there going over like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star or something like that.
Right.
That's what we're talking about.
Exactly, yes.
That help you kind of get into that rhythm and...
Right, it's a whole rhythm thing. It does alter your consciousness a little bit.
Right. And it does help on casting spells to be in that altered state.
Exactly.
It's not needed to cast a spell. It helps to alter your state of consciousness.
Right.
All right.
Soft of eye and light of touch, speak ye little, listen much.
We use this phrase a lot. And basically, this isn't that you're not supposed to question elders or blah, 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 like you might hear in a lot of other places and stuff like that. That's not what in the world this is about.
Right.
This is starting to ask the question, why use that wording? Why say it that way when it could be said a different way?
What, the speak ye little, listen much?
Right, is to start asking those questions, to listen to what people are saying and start asking your question, why are they saying it that way?
Okay.
What message are they trying to get across?
Yeah, and I think it also indicates that we need to be a little more aware of our surroundings. Mm-hmm. And if we're running our mouth, we can't really do that.
Well, it's that active listening that they used to teach.
Right.
That we're talking about. That really you actually are paying attention to what in the world's going on and asking yourself, why these words? Why not other words? And trying to figure out what the person's actually trying to say.
Makes perfect sense.
Because there's a lot of times, and I've seen a lot here where somebody will say something, but that's not exactly what I meant.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
It happens a lot. And the majority of the times when you listen to that, is people not listening.
Mm.
All right? You with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Deosil go by waxing moon, chanting out the witch's rune.
That's just a pretty line. And if you've ever read The Witch's Rune.
Okay. When the lady's moon is new, kiss the hand to her times 2.
We're talking about duality here. And that they are the guardians of life.
Okay.
How do you go from 1 to 2?
Very true.
Well, if you notice, the God was never mentioned in that because he can't become 2.
Right. No, but it takes the God
to help.
Anyway. Yeah. When the moon rides at her peak, then your heart's desire seek.
This is asking for that wisdom. This is basically us. You need to celebrate your full moons. You need to do the aspects. You need to bathe in her glory.
All right. Heed the north wind's mighty gale, lock the door and drop the sail.
There's more after that, I think.
Oh, yeah, it goes into each direction.
I believe this section is really talking about the Grand Sabbaths, if you finish reading it all.
Okay, so we've got heed the north wind's mighty gale, lock the door and drop the sail. When the wind comes from the south, love will kiss thee on the mouth. When the wind comes from the west, departed souls will have no rest. When the wind blows from the east, expect the new and set the feast.
See, I think these are all talking about the Grand Sabbaths.
And so you don't really think that there's any individual
mysteries there. It's just to remind you about this.
Right.
Putting that wheel of the year in there because it's part of us. It is to remind us to keep that wheel in mind as we do things.
So you don't think there's any mystery in the love will kiss thee on the mouth or departed souls will have no rest? Expect you and set the feast. None of that.
None of that. Again, this is. I think this is
just
talking
to
about
make it rhyme.
Yeah, just to make it rhyme.
Okay.
No real mysteries there. I think they're talking about the grand Sabbaths, especially that kiss the hands by two, set the feast. Or how did that go? Dearly departed souls will not
departed
rest.
Souls have no rest.
Right, Samhain.
love kissing thee on the mouth.
Invoke.
Right, lock the door and drop the sail.
You with me?
All of that. Okay, so that's that's the wheel of the year.
That's the wheel of the year.
Okay. 9 woods in the cauldron go, burn them fast and burn them slow.
And it's just to remind us of our Celtic roots.
Mm-hmm.
And where some of this comes from, and to respect that.
So that is the 9 sacred woods.
Woods in Druidic customs.
Okay. So that you think that comes from Welsh traditions?
Welsh? Don't get me the line.
Oh, okay. So I'm not really sure where that comes from, but...
Right, but we know the 9 woods come from the Druidic traditions.
Okay. Elder be your lady's tree, harm it not, or cursed you'll be.
If you've ever burnt elder, you know what the curse is. Just saying. All right. Again, this is a simple play on words and kind of funny because elder, when you're burning it, smells really bad.
Right.
And the curse is when you get the smoke on you, you're going to reek too for a few days. It's kind of like being
sprayed with a skunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not quite as nice, but
point is it's gonna stick around for a while.
Both have their own fragrance.
Yes. It's a unique fragrance.
Again, common sense, wisdom we can work with.
Okay. When the wheel begins to turn, let the Beltane fires burn. When the wheel has turned a Yule, light the log, the horned ones rule.
They're just talking about the lessers. All
right. So again, wheel of the year type deal.
The first one was the grand. These are the lessers.
Okay. Heed ye flower, bush and tree, by the lady blessed be.
This is to know your herbs, being able to identify them.
Gotcha.
All right. And that which we have lost the ability to do. Most people can't identify trees and blah, blah, plants.
Right.
There are people out there that have no idea what in the world a dandelion really looks like in real life.
Right. I don't know how that's possible, but I get what you're saying, yeah.
In other words, me and you would be able to identify they're
muscadines.
Muscadines. We can recognize them because we used to eat them as kids.
Right.
Picking them up right off the vine. So that's what we're talking about here. This is what this talks about to me, is that we should be able to identify this stuff by sight automatically.
Gotcha. All right. Where the rippling waters go, cast a stone and truth you'll know.
Again, altering states of consciousness.
Divination.
All this other stuff. Mainly it's taking time to go somewhere and steal your mind away from the world.
Gotcha. When ye have a truly need, hearken not to others' greed.
I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
You think?
In our tradition, we believe that we're allowed to do what we need to survive. All right? But then there comes a point to where survival, you're sort of overdoing it.
All right.
Yeah, the idea there is, yes, you need money and work and blah, blah, blah that you have to survive in here, but you don't necessarily I don't need to be a millionaire or a trillionaire.
Gotcha.
There is a point to where accumulating this stuff is just obsessively narcissistic and stupid.
Right.
You know, what are two people going to do in a mansion with 20 rooms?
Have a party. But then you got to worry about the cleanup.
Then you got to worry about the cleanup. Who wants?
Yeah.
Again, that's all we're talking about is asking for what we need versus what we want.
All right. With a fool, no season spend, nor be counted as his friend.
And this is that whole entire don't take people at face value. You listen to us, you listen to anyone else, go back, do your research, reread, do it yourself.
Right. Absolutely.
All right. Don't trust any of us. 100%.
All right. Merry meet and merry part, bright the cheeks and warm the heart.
Again.
So, I was going to say, I have to ask, bright the cheeks. Does that mean when you meet somebody, you slap them across the face? I mean,
no, I would say probably kiss them, but it is that we are supposed to greet each other in friendship and warmth and love. You should be excited to see the lady again. You should be excited to see your high priest again. This is a wonderful time, especially during the Sabbaths and the Esbats. You want to be there.
Right. All right.
Go on.
Mind the threefold law ye should, 3 times bad and 3 times good.
Notice it didn't say obey. It just said mind.
Right.
That energies do, there's always an equal and opposite reactions to everything we do. And it's being aware of those reactions.
So now, do you think that it really comes back to you 3 times?
Well, I mean, it depends on what in the world it is. It could come back to you emotionally, spiritually, and even psychically.
So that could be the 3 times.
Right, on 3 different levels. You know, again, think about like guys coming back from war.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is what we're talking about here in this. That we have to be aware of our own limitations.
Okay.
There's only so much stress the human body can handle.
Exactly. All right. When misfortune is a now, wear the blue star on the brow.
According to Lord Men, they actually used to do this.
What was the purpose of the blue star?
Get rid of bad luck, misfortune. Well, they never called it bad luck. They always called it misfortune.
Okay.
All right. Where, hey, you're clumsy, whatever. People actually used to wear according to Lord Men, they used to put a blue star on their forehead when there was bad luck around.
Okay.
And I'm sure that would be hard to explain to people why in the world you're doing that, but okay.
Well, I think it would be more like Ash Wednesday.
Thank you.
Where people are, you go to church and you get atoned, with the ash cross on your forehead.
Right. Again, this was just done with a blue star, though.
Right.
Go figure.
All right. True in love ever be, unless thy lover's false to thee.
We have to keep our words. The oaths that we take in front of the gods must be obeyed.
Well, and I also think this is more common sense about dealing with relationships with other people.
Well, of course. But again, it's being mature enough to realize what you're swearing your allegiance to.
Exactly.
All right? This is keeping your word. Is really what it amounts to, not just in love, but you're taking oaths in front of God. So you might want to think about them before you start swearing them.
Right. All right. And then last but not least, these 8 words the rede fulfill, and harm ye none, do what ye will.
We believe in self-defense and all this, but we're not going, basically this tells us we're not supposed to go out of our way to hurt someone.
Right. In other words, don't be malicious about it.
Exactly.
But if it's in protection,
yeah. any mom protecting their kid, any parent protecting their kids from any sources, I'm going to find it hard not to agree with the parents.
Right.
You know? So I don't have a problem with this. Self-defense is good. We have to be aware of, though, to make sure that we put out just enough to stop the violence, not to
not to create more.
Right. We're trying not to do that cycle of, remember when we were kids and, my sister can beat up your sister, or my dad can beat up your.
Yep.
or you get beat up, so your friends go beat up somebody else, which then they come back and beat up. These are the cycles we're trying to prevent.
Makes sense, yeah.
Which is weird because I could have sworn there was a line in there about self-defense, but.
I think that's in another version.
All right.
But yeah, there's a version out there that mentions unless in self-defense it be.
Right. You want to follow the long read, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. Again, to us is advice, and that's it.
Right.
You take it or leave it. I'm not going to make it some hard, fast rule, but I do realize it's been changed over the years, and then you have the Wiccan version, which is...
These 8 words the read fulfill, and ye harm none, do what ye will.
Right. And again, when we talk about will there, we're talking literally your will. What will you can force upon the world, not do whatever. Am I making sense there?
Yeah.
It's about what your strength and your ability can do to the world, not the other way around. Not that you just willy-nilly do whatever in the world you want.
Exactly. I mean, there are some limitations here.
Well, there are some limitations, but again, it's about your personal will. Has been an argument. I know it was a debate that me and Lord Men had over that part for many years.
I know you two had some interesting conversations regarding that, for sure.
Because I thought it was personal will, and he just thought it was whatever. You can do whatever you want.
Right.
And I was like, I don't think so. I think they're talking about your personal will. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to get hung up on this, or you know what I mean? Like some other people. It's nice advice. You should read the laws. You should learn the laws and go through them. All right. I didn't say you actually had to follow them, but it's nice to know.
What, the laws?
The laws that is mentioned in this one. By the Wiccan laws, you must.
So you don't think we should be following those?
No, I think we should be following those. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, all I'm saying is, if you don't want to, I don't think anybody's going to make you to. I think you should. You with me?
Yeah.
That whole entire, you believe whatever in the world you want. But again, this is why it's advice to us. Once we break it down, there's no real mysteries there per se.
Right.
I mean,
it's just a lot of common sense advice.
Common sense advice. There are some things that are allude to mysteries in our tradition, but nothing substantial.
Right. It's not like it's full of mysterious content or anything. It's just there.
And the sad part is, and I could be wrong, and some other people might say I'm wrong, but we don't get writing like this anymore.
I don't think we do. Or if we do, it's not very widespread.
We don't get a lot of this. We don't get a lot of the Charge of the Goddess. We don't get these things that are wrapped up, that have mysteries and meaning to them built into them, like we used to. I don't see it as much. I could be wrong and just not looking in the right place.
Well, and like I said, there may be some of these writings that are, contained within an individual's book of shadows, or maybe contained within a coven, but it's just not widespread.
It's just not widespread. It might not be. But like I said, we don't have a lot of these like we used to.
No.
All right. I mean, I'm sorry. When I hear the Charge of the Goddess, there's just this emotional response I can't help.
Right.
It's kind of like that poem we do during Samhain.
Yes.
The
low I shall remember.
The low I shall remember.
Yeah.
Again, it is this wonderful thing of tradition that we do during Samhain to remember those who passed on.
Right.
I don't see a lot of writing like this. Again, I'll sit here and say it. Might not have seen it. So if somebody knows where it is, then...
Thanks for listening. Join us next week for another episode. Pagan Coffee Talk is brought to you by Life Temple and Seminary. Please visit us at lifetempleseminary.org for more information, as well as links to our social media: Facebook, Discord, Twitter, YouTube, and Reddit.
We travel down this trodden path, a maze of stone and mire. Just hold my hand as we pass by a sea of blazing pyres. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me till morning breaks. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me till morning.